capillary. Is it capillary or capillary? I forget which one is the American way of saying it. Capillary? Huh? I'm starting to think that's it. Hello. Today I'm going to be planting my first seeds of the year. I'm going to show you how I personally plant seeds or sow seeds so that I can forget about it for a while. I'm going to be traveling for a couple of weeks. I don't know that I would leave this whole setup for a couple of weeks like alone by itself, but thankfully Brendan's going to be back earlier and he can check up on it. But I'm pretty confident that for at least a week this will be fine. Probably honestly 2 weeks, because it's still going to be in like the beginning germination stages, and the seeds in the plants, the seedlings, whenever they, germinate, they won't be like taking up so much water. So this is a good system because it has a water reservoir and it'll keep everything watered when I'm gone. And of course I have lights on a timer set up so that will just go and, have a certain amount of hours of daylight on top of this. First, I want to show you what I was doing earlier today, continuing to knock off the snow from my hoop house. It was exhausting and yeah, a little bit of an ordeal. I don't know if I did it exactly right, but whatever, you'll see. Wish me luck. I'm going to try and just get most of the snow off this one section of the hoop house that really looks like it's dipping in a lot. I just don't want the greenhouse plastic to break. It's really expensive to replace. And I don't really know, how big of a tear I can repair. I have some repair tape for any like small tears. That will be fine. But yeah, a big rip is not going to be good. So wish me luck. It's really tough just being in such deep snow. The top of it is also really fluffy, the top of the snow. And the bottom is pretty compact, but there's this big snowbank that I need to climb to get to the snow. Or I can use a broom, I guess. I do have a long broom that I might use, so we'll see. Okay, I might not be doing it the right way, but whatever. Just like, whatever. Okay, I also think I am gonna get some seeds started before I leave. I pulled out just a few like really cold hardy seeds, and I might not start all of these. Eucalyptus I want to start because it takes forever to grow. I was planning on overwintering mine in the garage, but things happened, okay, and it didn't work out. Kale I'll start, leeks, onions, maybe echinacea. Usually I like to cold stratify them. It just gives seeds, and these are at least a year old seeds, just like a boost in germination. But I might just try doing it without. Oh, maybe lisianthus. Lisianthus is something that won't always work here. They take a really long time to grow and bloom. I got a few blooms at the end of last season, but we had a really short season last year. We had a really cold spring, so I didn't end up moving them out until later, and just I didn't give them the best start. I'm going to work on the beds in the greenhouse a lot more this year, and hopefully they do better. But I am going to start not as many as I started last year. I'm going to start some lisianthus. Okay, so I have my tray with, it has this capillary mat on it. It has like this little stand, so it's pretty deep. And this mat just goes down under, and what it'll do is just absorb all the water from inside this reservoir, inside this tray, and just it'll wick up to here, and then I'll have these like cell packs that just stand on top of this capillary mat, and then it will wick up the water as well. So things in here will stay watered, they'll stay moist, they won't dry out, which is the biggest thing when you're seed starting. I would have to like choose which seeds I start wisely because this doesn't have a lot of space. I think it has space for 6 of these 6-pack of cells, which means 36, I'm pretty sure. 36 like seed cells that I can plant, and I can do, and I would do more than 1 seed per cell for sure, and then I'll just split it up later. But I don't want to like take up a lot of space now. I only want to run 1 grow light on top of this, and I want it to be all on 1 mat. I used to have another one of these, but I think it broke. This is really flimsy. You can get them at like any box store, I'm pretty sure, but if I were to get another one, I would get something more heavy duty. I hate how much like disposable plastic I have. I try to reuse them. These are all like I've used in the past. Yeah, going forward, I would have done it a little bit differently. I do have like a mini seed blocker that I could use that I have used on this capillary mat before. So I just create the blocks directly onto this. But I don't really know where it is right now. And I've been kind of like unorganized with all my stuff. I mean, I probably should just organize everything anyways, for like now is the time right before I get into all of my seed starting. I will when I get back, like full force be into seed starting. So I should just try and get everything organized now, or at least figure out where things are. Okay, I'll do that. Let me go find my seed blocker. Okay, I did find my seed blocker. This is like, it makes quite tiny seeds. How many? It's like 20 seeds on this little thing, and it's like the size of my hand. And I have small, like small chubby hands, so it's not very big at all. And I forgot how many I did before when I did this. Probably 6 of these 20, which means 120 blocks. So I think I'll do that. I also brought with me some more water because to seed block, you do want to start with potting mix that's a little bit more damp, just so everything holds together. And I also want to have this capillary, is it capillary or capillary? I forget which one is the American way of saying it. Capillary? Well, I'm starting to think that's it. So I'm just gonna like make sure that this mat is all like drenched in water, because if you start with it dry, it's gonna have a hard time wicking up that moisture. It's to do with like water's hydrostatic property, the reason why it can do that, like why water can travel up like a wick, for example. So hopefully that's wet enough, and then I'll just start blocking these seeds. And then I can just start a lot more. It takes up a little amount of space, especially the seedlings that I'm going to start that are slow growing. It's really a good idea to start them in something small like these tiny soil blocks, just because you're going to take up so much space for each cell, and it's not going to like grow to fill that out for a long while. Okay, I'm a little flustered. I don't know why. I'm just going to get to it. And there was I remember making a video where I realized, like, I'll never use soil blocks for snapdragons, at least. And to be honest with you, I completely forgot why. So I feel like these soil blocks have given me a headache in the past. Or maybe it's just that those snapdragons didn't do well. I'll have to go back to those videos and check. That's like one thing that's so great about making these videos. I mean, at first it was just like a little embarrassing, but now, I don't know, it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice just to be able to talk, you know, in a time where, I don't know, I feel like, and it's probably my own fault, I like don't see people enough in real life. It's just good to have these experiences where I can talk to whoever wants to be at the other end of this and talk about things that like do really interest me and things that I care about. Also, that I can go back and rewatch and like see my experiences from last year or the year before. That's really helpful. Because I'm not somebody who's organized enough to keep a journal. I mean, last year I tried to be really organized. This year, like, I'm not even gonna try. Okay, and I think for soil blocks, at least from my experience, what I remember, you want to strike a good balance between like packing it in enough so that it keeps its shape and it will come out of these, but also you don't want to pack it in too much, I realized. Because then, yeah, I don't know, how's anything going to grow in that? I'm sure, I don't think that maybe matters, but I think that's the right amount. I think fluffy soil is good for plants to start in, you know? So you only want to pack it in as much as it's going to hold together. And it is good to know that it does have to hold together for a long time. This is the beginning of February, and I'm not going to be able to plant these outside, like in their final, like, growing space until at least May. Maybe at the end of April if I really try hard, or if it's sunny enough that the ground inside the hoop house warms up. Okay, and you also probably don't have to spend as much time as I do pressing it into the bottom like this. I never see people, like on YouTube, the people I watch, do this when they're doing soil blocks. I like to do it because I really like the bottom to be flat. And I just think sometimes it, especially on this mat, when I'm putting it directly onto this, it can like wobble around a bit and it just looks a bit messier. Also, yeah, I don't know if I'm strong enough while I'm pressing it down. Okay, much better. Well, I don't know, maybe should I just do like half of it as these little soil blocks and then 3 of these? Okay, I got my seeds out. I figured out which ones I want to plant right now. I made a little key for myself on this post-it note. I haven't figured everything out yet, but I'll do that as I go along, especially because for the lisianthus seeds that I pulled out, I don't know how many I have left. These are all at least a year old, and they're essentially just leftovers. Like some of these, I just don't know how many are in there. So I'll see how much and I'll just make a note of it. I'll try and keep it even so it doesn't get too mixed up and so that this can still be legible. Let me do these soil blocks first, actually. So the lisianthus varieties I have, if you were wondering, Roseanne Green, Doubellini Blue, Corelli 3 Light Pink, Voyage 2 Champagne, Voyage 2 First Love, oh, Silver Dollar Eucalyptus, and the last lisianthus is Roseanne 2 Green. Roseanne 2 Clear Green. So I'm gonna do, let me start with the, what was it? Silver Dollar Eucalyptus. I know I want a decent amount of these. They don't grow to be very big throughout the summer. I am hoping to try and overwinter some of them, figure out the best way to do that. but they take forever to grow. I know I want them though because they're beautiful. And I'm putting at least one seed into each block, so I might be dropping a little bit more than that. This is the Voyage to Champagne. Lisianthus have always had like amazing germination rates for me. Even like the pelleted seeds that I've used that have been a year old, they've still come up. Like almost all of them always come up. It is quite a difficult seed to germinate, but if you know the right conditions to keep it in, it's fine. The harder part is keeping the conditions right as it's growing as a seedling, because it can go sideways pretty quickly. And it can get to a point where you're not gonna have a bloom, where you can just tell, like if a seedling is starting to rosette, that they're just gonna keep putting all of their energy into the leaves and none into a bloom that year. And these are certainly not perennial for me, so they've gotta bloom this year or nothing. Okay, I got everything planted. I sprinkled some vermiculite on top. That's gonna help everything stay damp and not dry out. The vermiculite is very porous. It has a lot of like holes in it that the water seeps into. It stays in there and then it sort of seeps out whenever things around it get too dry. So that's really convenient if you're going to be leaving your seedlings alone for a while like I am. These are all done. So lisianthus, the seeds that I have here, I don't think eucalyptus, I'll double check on that, but they all need light to germinate. So I am going to be putting these under a grow light. I'm going to have a covering on top, a plastic cover. I don't think I have the small one that came with this because this is like years old. So I'm either going to use like a disposable one that I got from like a supermarket thing, or I'm going to use the one for the bigger 1020 tray. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine leaving this for a while. I will fill this up with water before I leave, and then I'll ask Brendan to check on it while I'm still gone and when he's back. Okay, here is what the setup is ultimately going to be for while I'm away. I'm using this top dome that comes in for a 1020 tray. I know that there's gaps here, so that air will be circulating through it, but I think that's fine. It's going to trap a lot of moisture inside of it though, or at least like stop evaporation from happening so much, because it does get very dry inside here. It also gets really warm having this. It's a pretty bright light, just just shining within this dome, so it's nice that there is some air circulation. It will trap a lot of the hot air in there though, so it'll stay warm, which is needed for germination. I already have grow lights attached to this whole shelving unit up here, for example, but they're all in a system and there's like a light or two that I need to replace, so I'm not going to bother with that right now. I plugged this light directly into the timer, and yeah, that stays plugged in. You know, one thing I was thinking about is like fires, but there's like a breaker. The timer is plugged into the breaker, so whatever. I doubt there's gonna be a fire. If there is, that's completely out of my control. I hope everything's gonna be okay. I don't wanna, like, I don't know, just be too anxious like I am and worry about things that are probably never gonna happen. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this light on and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.